Hey everyone, this is PM Sport Talk, the father and son dual podcast. I'm your host Preston, alongside my father Mike and Dad. How are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Great spring day here in Northern New York. Got some sports to get into. I'm ready.
Absolutely. Well, it's the season of spring, and that means we have a bunch of playoffs, meaning we're going to talk about some basketball today. But before we get into that, one of the biggest tournaments, Dad, took place. March Madness ended, and then over the weekend we had the Masters. You watched this more than I did, so.
Oh, I love the Masters. It's my favorite golf tournament. If you're just a casual golf fan, there's one thing you need to do. You need to pay attention and watch the Masters. It's just the greatest one. I just love it. If you're a golf fan, it's the best. It's considered the top major. I think almost all the players would tell you that. It's just got so much prestige and tradition, and it really kicks off the golf season. I know they've been playing for couple months now, but it's like signals the golf season, especially here in the Northeast. It's springtime. People are starting to get out to play golf. And then the Masters is on TV, and it's just if you're a golf fan, it's just great. And although the tournament wasn't great, it was still pretty good. The Masters, almost always, even if the tournament itself isn't real competitive, it's still fun to watch because the course itself is part of the viewing pleasure, I guess I would say. Because it's every year, the Masters is held at Augusta, Georgia, on that course every single year. It's the same course. So you get to know the course, you know how the holes are. And it's just great. Whereas all the other majors, they're on different courses every year. So, you're not used to seeing all those courses. But this one, you see it every year. Everybody knows it. It's just great. And we had a pretty good tournament. The world number one golfer showed up.
Scheffler with his second green jacket in, 3 years?
Second in 3 years, yeah. He was the favorite coming in, and he didn't disappoint. He basically, I think, except for the first day, I think he led pretty much throughout, or was like within one shot of the lead throughout. And then yesterday he put it away like halfway through, which took away from some of the, drama that you like to see. Mm-hmm. You wish those guys would have been a little bit closer to him, so there's more pressure, and, it goes right down to the end. But, it was dominating performance by him there the last 6-7 holes there. He just put it away, and everybody else shrunk. He kind of did what Tiger Woods used to do all the time, is put his opponents away, and that's what he did yesterday.
Well, this is probably, like you said, the greatest golf tournament there ever was, and it just blows my mind how, prestigious this is, because, it is hyped up every year, and it's pretty. I'm not a big golf guy, but it's actually pretty cool just because, like you said, the course, it's beautiful.
The course is beautiful, and what you don't realize, you're starting to see it a little more now with today's technology, with the cameras, views, and all that they have, is how when in the past you didn't realize how hilly that course was. It did, but when they show the close-ups and the different angles. These guys on TV, the far away views that you get, it looks kind of flat. But when they get up close, you realize these guys are basically playing on kind of a mountain there. Mm. And because it's so beautiful, you don't realize it, and it's so green, and the greens are perfect. But that is probably the hilliest golf course that they play on. And those greens, you watch them, you'll see that the ball, they just touch the ball and it takes off and doesn't stop. And then they show the close-up of how much of it slanted it is and all the different topography on there. It's just amazing. You've got to be really good there to get good scores, and it's just amazing. That's what I love about it. It's so much fun to watch if you're a golfer, and it didn't disappoint. And they have a lot of tradition there. Like for instance, nobody can have a cell phone on that course. No patrons can have a cell phone.
Where's anybody watching can't have their phone out or nothing?
They can't have it. You're not allowed to bring it in.
Oh.
Yep. I'm pretty sure you go through screening where you can't have your phone and all this. There's no cameras. There's nothing.
Only the broadcast cameras, correct?
Yep. And like their pricing, like their concessions and all that,
Mhm.
are like 1950 prices. It's very weird how. I mean, it's just something that they just do. Like a hamburger or something's like $1. You know, it's not like $15 like it is nowadays.
I don't know if kids with this like tradition or this generation's technology could sit through a Masters. I don't think they could.
Yeah, you don't. If you notice, there's not a lot of young kids there. I mean, there's some, but it's mainly probably my age people that are there mostly, and older. But it's tradition, and one person described it as it's like almost like you're in a time warp almost. You don't have your phone all day, so you don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. You're only focused on what's going on there,
Right.
which is kind of cool in a way.
That is cool, yeah.
You're kind of just there, and that's what makes it so unique, and that's why everybody just loves it. And you know, it never disappoints.
One of the best golf tournaments I've ever watched was last year when pretty much I only watched because it came near here. The PGA Tour last year.
yeah.
I loved that. Wasn't that was, I mean, what was his name? Block. He hit the hole-in-one.
Yes.
That was so awesome. There was just a bunch of awesome moments. Who won that again?
Brooks Koepka won
That's
that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always cool when it's near you, where if you live right near it, and kind of makes it gives you a little more interest.
The only thing that was bad about last year is it was very rainy, bad conditions, like pretty much the whole time.
That's the only bad thing about playing up here.
You never know.
In the springtime, they're better off if they're gonna have a tournament in Rochester. They're better off having it in the summer, not in the spring. But it's still great though. Yeah. But the Masters, yeah, it's great. And Scheffler won yesterday. World number one coming in, and definitely number one now. And he's only 27 years old, and he's already won 2, so he's well on his way. Tiger Woods played in this was his first tournament in quite a while, where he actually finished the whole tournament. He didn't score good. He had a good his first 2 days were really good. I watched those days. I watched Friday because I didn't have to work, so I watched him play all day Friday. And, you know, he did really well. He was within the top 15 or 20. And then on the week, Saturday and Sunday, he just fell apart. But he did finish the tournament, which is pretty amazing for the injury that he had, that he was actually able to walk that course, because it is like walking, like I told you earlier, it's like walking on a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to finish it. So who knows with Tiger, if we'll see him ever get back there one more time, you know, to win a major or win a golf tournament. I don't know if he's got it left in him. We'll have to see if he can stay healthy, but he still makes some really, really good shots. It's just that his health, I think, is probably going to get the better of him. So it's unlikely that we're going to see him win again, but he's still, even though he was way behind, there was probably more people following him on the golf course than anybody else. So it's just amazing what the fandom that he still has.
Didn't one of his greatest shots come at the Masters, the chip?
Yeah, so a long time ago. Yeah, he chipped in.
That was amazing.
Yeah, he's had a lot of great ones. So yeah.
And then he won. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2019, the Masters.
Yeah, he won 2019. That was his first major in like 10, 11 years.
Was that a major before the crash?
That was just before. It was right after that when he got hurt. So yeah, it was like he was back, because he had been hurt before that with his back, and he was finally back to winning again. He had competed really well that whole season,
right,
and he came close to winning a couple other majors, and then he finally won that one, and everybody's like, oh, look, Tiger's back. And then it wasn't shortly after that that he got in that accident, and pretty much, you know, that probably was the end of his reign as a top flight golfer. And too bad.
A good thing he built a legacy before that, though. I mean, he built a really good legacy.
I mean, he's considered the best, if not, between him and Jack Nicklaus, and my opinion, he's the best that's ever played. So
Yeah, I agree with that take. Well, a little brief go over of the Masters there, and now we are back into playoff form for NBA basketball.
yes, the NBA took a little hiatus there with the NCAA tournament taking center stage, but now it's back on. That's one thing I like about this time of year. You got NCAA tournament, then you got the Masters. Now you got NBA and NHL playoffs, and it's a great time of year.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I ever watched the NHL playoffs more than last year. I mean, Florida Panthers really was the reason I was watching because it wasn't very often that I've seen like a team that low go that far.
That always brings eyeballs to the sets when you have that number 1 seed and the number 8 seed is right there, either going to beat them or close to beating them. And that always makes for a great first round matchup. And I think you're going to see a lot of that this year in both NHL and the NBA because there's a lot of good teams that are lower in the standings.
Yeah, we're going to start off with the NBA. We're going to go into the play-in. And I have a little bit of a flashback here. If we go back last year to the play-in last year, the Chicago Bulls are here again this year. They were there last year, and I'm not sure if you saw this, but you're going to see it now. DeMar DeRozan's daughter was at the game against the Raptors, and then she was screaming every time the Raptors were shooting a free throw, and that really made a difference in the game, surprisingly. If we can roll that video clip, then we will see how this all went down.
Raptors squad. That
I remember
is
this,
the daughter of DeMar DeRozan. And here's the voice you're hearing when Raptors shoot. She's screaming. That time it didn't work. Hey, it's the thought that Leahy hangs in the air. DeMar's daughter is being very strategic about her screaming at this point.
She's timely. Check out if you're Chicago here.
Hey, she went 1 for 2, like the Raptors. Loose ball. Levine comes out of the pack with it.
On the third attempt, make sure you check out.
Oh, wow. Line
that's
drive, never
good.
made it. Make sure they secured the defensive board here if it comes off.
Well, there you see, and that scream you were hearing, as you heard probably Mark Jones and Doris Burke talking about, that was DeMar DeRozan's daughter screaming at the top of her lungs every single time the Raptors are shooting a free throw.
And they missed a ton.
Oh, yeah. And I think she was I don't even think anything else was the reason.
And they won the game, right? If I remember correctly.
Yep, it was close at the end, and that really made the difference because Siakam was at the line when the Raptors were down by 2, and she screamed, and he missed the first free throw.
Did any of the Raptors players talk about that afterwards?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember if they did or not, but it'd be interesting if they actually heard her or if it was just a coincidence that worked or not. But that's crazy. Like I said, they're back in it this year. They should have beat Miami after that game last year.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say this right now. They lost that game because DeMar DeRozan had school the next day, and, yep, DeMar couldn't bring her.
Is that what it was?
I think that's what it was.
They almost won that game. They should have won it. They were way ahead.
And, Dad, the reason I bring this up is because, of course, I mentioned the Bulls are playing the Hawks, but DeMar DeRozan not too long ago today put on his Instagram story a picture of his daughter and saying the caption, mood. So that could mean, I think that does mean she's going to be back this year, seated in the stands.
That's quite possible. Mood, huh?
Yeah.
What's that mean? She's in a bad mood or?
Well, that's kind of slang for us.
Yeah, we have to figure that out, I guess, huh?
I guess.
It's not good news for who are they playing again? The Hawks. Yeah.
You were wondering if the Raptors had any thoughts on DeMar DeRozan's daughter screaming. Well, our producer Chad has found a video of Pascal Siakam talking about it. Let's roll that clip and see what he had to say about it.
Pascal, I know you were asked about this last night, but much is being made about that DeMar DeRozan's daughter last night. Could you hear that when you guys were shooting?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Does he even know
Did it provide a distraction at all?
I don't know. I can tell. I mean, we played enough games where, there's opposite fans or whatever. Like people do stuff at the free throw line. So I can't really tell you. I don't think so.
That's kind of a weird reaction.
That is a weird, because he started off by saying, I think so. I mean, yeah. And then he goes, no, I don't think so. I don't think it had anything to do
I
with
don't know how he couldn't have heard. I know they're deep focused on the game, but how could you not hear that?
And the amount of free throws they missed in that game, and he's saying that had nothing to do with it. I mean, that's probably
I think he's just saying that.
that's probably the proper way to handle that, but
He doesn't want to say that was a distraction. So
yeah,
I
that's
think-
what I think. Yeah.
I knew that maybe that was his reaction there because he had to hear that. It was every single free throw. You can't tell me they didn't hear that.
Yeah. And oh boy, I mean, Raptors fans, they were mad. They were mad about that. I mean, you think that's bad sitting at home listening to her distracting your team? I mean, well, just imagine being a Raptors fan or a Bulls fan, just trying to enjoy the game.
I get it. It's really annoying. It was very annoying to me. But really, what can you do? I mean, they're allowed to do whatever they want.
They can do that. Exactly. They
mean-
were like, Raptors fans were like calling for her to get
thrown out.
out. I mean, you can't get. Well, I mean, first of all, I don't think they're gonna kick out her DeMar DeRozan's daughter unless she gets into a fist fight somehow.
Yeah, she's not being. Yeah,
She's not hurting anything.
she's no different than when the fans are behind the backboard. They're waving stuff and screaming. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, fans have done such worse stuff.
It's very annoying,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, what are
'cause-
you gonna do?
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, then you have to do it to all the fans that are like jumping up and down and waving their hands and screaming while they're taking free throws. You can't. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time in college.
it's just one of those things. Is it extremely annoying? Yeah, but I don't think. As long as she's not yelling obscenities or something, there's nothing you can do.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's curious to see if we'll see her again. That's they play
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow or the next? No, they play
No,
the next day.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see if she's back in action.
Yeah. With that being said, we have a bunch of number one seeds with a lot of possibilities for their first round matchup. Let's start off with the Boston Celtics, my favorite team. I think you pay attention to them a lot with me. So they have four possibilities. Of course, we mentioned the Bulls and the Hawks, but they can also play the 76ers, who they have had no problem beating in the past. But there's that one team that's left that they can play. Do you know who that is, Dad?
Oh, well, yeah, of course I do.
The Miami Heat. The Miami Heat.
Yeah, that one is the only one that would worry me, but I don't know if I'd be that worried. I know. As fans, you're going to be worried about it because of what happened last year.
Right.
But this is a different Celtics team. I really don't think that the Heat can match them this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody in the East can match them this year. I mean, I know it's playoffs, so you just never know. But as long as the Celtics are healthy, there's nobody I think in the East that's going to make them go any more than 6 games at the most.
Not even the Knicks.
No.
Nah.
I'm not worried about the Knicks. I think they blow the Knicks right off the court because the Knicks, they don't have Randall. Who is Anunoby even playing?
I think so. He played a couple days ago.
He's not super healthy though, right? You never know with him.
DiVincenzo's been lighting it up.
Yeah, I don't see it. I think if they played the Knicks, it'd be a 5-game series. But as long as the Celtics as long as they don't put one of those lackluster efforts out.
That's what I'm worried about.
I don't think you'll see that this year. This team, I think they're out to prove something.
They got a lot of veteran leadership in there now.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, it was brutal watching Jason Tatum take the whole Miami Heat team, try to at least, take the whole Miami Heat team to the paint and turn it over every single time. That is the main reason we went down 3-0. We almost came back, and then in Game 7, didn't go so well. I mean, you eventually run out of gas when you're down 3-0.
Yeah. I don't see that this year.
Right.
I know everybody's going to be nervous if it's the Heat, and there's a good chance it. I don't know. There's a good chance it will be the Heat, but it's going to be either the Heat or Philadelphia. I don't see one of those other teams winning.
If it were to be the Heat, they have to lose to Philadelphia and then win the next game.
Yeah. Same thing they did last year.
Right.
They lost the 7-8 game, then won the next game to get in. They shouldn't have even made it because they should have lost to the Bulls, but
right.
They came back with what? They were down by what? Wasn't it like 10 with like a couple minutes left?
Yeah, they came back, yeah.
It's crazy. I don't see that happening again. I just don't. That being said, though, Miami and Philadelphia, if Embiid is healthy, they're not your normal 7-8 seeds. Because if Philadelphia was healthy, they probably would have been like a 2 or 3 seed this year.
Yeah.
Miami is Miami. They probably would have been right where they are, but Miami's where they are because they take half the season off, I think.
Yeah, they do. They do. I mean, they did this last year too. I mean, they rely on winning in the play-in. I mean, what happens if you lose both games?
Yeah. Maybe they will this year. I mean, I don't know. I can see they're in Philadelphia, so they could lose that game. I don't know if I have not seen Embiid play since he came back. I don't know what he looks like, so I'm not positive how that game's going to go.
I think he's playing decent. I think he's playing like Embiid usually does. Not obviously to his whole
not MVP,
full
not MVP but
yeah,
decent though.
He's playing good enough. That's what I'm trying to say.
Good enough, yeah. And they've got a lot of other players there. So
Maxey, they got Harris. Yeah, they got a good team around them.
I mean, the Heat have Butler and Hero and Adebayo. So that's
Caleb Martin's a pretty good piece. I think many people underlook him.
I don't see him having the kind of playoff he had last year, though. Do you?
Oh no,
he just couldn't miss.
Last year he was
on fire,
unstoppable
until the finals. Even in the finals, he was decent. But I don't see him having that kind of run this year. But yeah, it makes for interesting. That was one thing I wanted to bring up. If you're the Knicks, I know they wanted to play out the season and get that 2 seed, but saying what we just said about Miami and Philadelphia, would the Knicks have been better off losing yesterday and being the 3 seed and playing Indiana?
I think so. Probably.
I think so.
But the bigger question is, when is Tom Thibodeau going to learn that it's not worth it playing your starters the whole game in games that don't matter? We've seen it with Derrick Rose. You would think he learned his lesson after that, but he didn't. He never does. I mean, if you play for Tom Thibodeau, you have a good chance of getting injured.
It's just crazy.
He just continuously plays his starters like regular minutes.
I mean,
and
you don't, in a way, you like that because he plays to win every game. But like you said, is it worth it in the end?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Like maybe it could be, but you're taking a big risk there.
I mean, I like the fact that he coaches that way and they play that way, but maybe, the last couple games, you knew they weren't going to go any lower than like 4 or 5 seed. Maybe just take your foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
And because I'm telling you, I'd much rather play Indiana than Miami or Philadelphia, especially Miami. Miami and New York. Miami gives New York fits, and like you said, they have those 3 guys that can score. They're tough matchups. I don't know if so that's a tough one. And then out west, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing out there.
So like, it's crazy to think about. We'll get into the West for a second, but it's crazy to think about that in the East, maybe even the West. The 1-8 and 2-7 games are probably going to be more entertaining than like the middle, like 3-6 and 4-5.
Yeah, who wants the 4-5 game in the East? Is Orlando and Cleveland? Nobody's watching that.
Yeah,
that's a NBA TV game or something.
Yeah.
I have no interest in watching that series whatsoever. I'm not going to watch it. There'll be other series on that I won't have to watch that one, but or I'll watch the NHL playoffs when that game's on. I'll watch the NHL.
Really doesn't want to watch Cavs and Magic that bad.
I mean, I just don't. I mean, maybe if they get the next round, of course you'll have to watch them. But you got Boston against Miami, or Boston against Philadelphia, and New York against Philadelphia, or New York against Miami. Those are big time series.
Yeah, and it's the first versus
round.
8.
That's like a second round series is what those should be.
Second round, yeah.
So, Boston, I don't think has a chance to get upset, but New York, I would not be shocked at all if they lost to either one of those teams.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be entertaining in the East for sure. Moving on to the West, we have a bunch of good play-in games there. I mean, I think we're going to see Warriors and Kings.
Warriors at Kings.
And
yeah,
the thing about that, we're getting another rematch from last year's first round playoffs, and that was
a great series.
very good series.
That went 5, right?
It went to 7.
Are the first rounds 5 or 7?
Wait, the first round, everything's 7.
Didn't it used to be 5?
Maybe.
I'm thinking about baseball. The NBA used to be 5, but it hasn't been that way for a while. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, everything's 7.
Did it go 7?
Yes,
That's
went
right.
7.
It went 7. Yep. Of course, the Warriors won Game 7, but that game
wasn't even close.
It wasn't close.
That Game 7 was not close. I think the Kings just got dominated on the boards. Kevin Looney had a monster game that game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah. Steph Curry was, Steph
that
Curry.
game. I mean, that series was. I mean, Draymond Green stomping on Sabonis.
Yes, that was fun. That was a fun series to watch, and
especially the light the beam gimmick the Kings have. I like that.
Yeah, you might. I mean, I don't. Who you got in that series or that game?
I have not seen much of the Kings this year.
Me either.
But I've seen a lot of the Warriors, and I have seen them play bad. They're kind of turning it up towards the end, but I'm gonna go with the Kings in this one.
I hope so. Is Malik Monk playing, or is he out still?
He's playing, I think.
I thought he got hurt.
When?
Like a couple weeks ago.
I'm pretty sure he'll play.
As long as they have their full team, I think maybe Sacramento can do it.
It's crazy how far Malik Monk's come. I mean, he was on the terrible Hornets, decided to go to the Kings, and he was one of their biggest playoff performers, even though they were only in there for one round. He played a really good series against the Warriors.
Yeah, he's really good. I liked him in college. He was great.
Oh, and at Kentucky?
Yeah.
He was amazing at Kentucky.
He was very good.
They had Fox. That Kentucky team was loaded. It's crazy that they didn't win a championship. Ooh, they have Fox, Adebayo, Monk.
Yep.
They had all those guys.
Yeah, they were really good. Monk, I remember it was UCLA against Kentucky, and Kentucky had Monk. Oh, you know who the other one was?
Who?
Murray.
Jamal Murray?
Yep.
Wow, that team is loaded.
Jamal Murray and Malik Monk. I remember they played UCLA, and UCLA had Lonzo Ball. And Kentucky, it was Monk against him, the 2 point guards. Monk was the point guard. And maybe Fox wasn't on that team. I'm not sure. But might have been the year before he got there. I can't remember if they were on the same team or not. But anyway, Monk was the guy. And they dueled back and forth. Kentucky ended up winning, but it was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, college was great. Lonzo, I kind of feel bad for the dude. I mean, he had a rough start to the NBA. Finally found his place in Chicago.
He was,
and then
he was, in my opinion, he was so overrated from the get go.
Well,
he's a lot like, what's his name for Brooklyn?
Ben Simmons.
He's a lot like him in college. Could not shoot the ball worth a lick, but they had this hype because they were these great playmakers. And when they both got to the NBA, what happened? He still couldn't shoot the ball.
Lonzo could shoot, I'd say, better than Ben Simmons.
Yes,
that's a low bar, but
it's a pretty good comparison. I think they had the same type of hype, and I never saw it in college for either one of those guys. I just never saw it.
Well, I think Lonzo did he end up playing with LeBron? No, he definitely did because he was involved in that trade.
He was in that trade, yeah.
I think Lonzo, the stars were a little too bright in Los Angeles because as soon as he went to New Orleans, him and Zion got a click going.
He was okay, but he's still...
no, he's a good playmaker for sure. But I agree. He was shooting a lot better in Chicago. You you can't tell me you can't. He found his place in Chicago, and then he ended up getting that really bad knee injury. I think he should be playing in the next couple of years.
I don't see it.
He's making progress.
He's better than he was, but he's still nothing that he was supposed to be.
Well, obviously, he's not going to live up to that ever.
No. And I'm telling you, I know we're way off topic here, but these guys, when they're coming out of college, like him and Ben Simmons, I don't know what these so-called experts are looking at. If you can't shoot the ball, you're not going to be a great NBA player playing that position.
Unless you're like a center.
I mean,
Ben Simmons was never a point guard. He's, 6'10", something like that?
Yeah.
And they're saying he's a point guard because of his playmaking. You got to shoot the ball if you're a point guard.
yeah. You got to be able to shoot or they're not going to guard you.
Exactly.
Then you can't make those plays because they have 5 guys guarding 4. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, we brought up Pelicans and Lakers. I think that's the other play.
That is the other play-in.
Wow. That's a really good game, actually.
Lakers just killed them yesterday, and now they have to replay them again. And the Lakers have pretty much killed them all year. Bad matchup for New Orleans, maybe.
Yeah.
But-
Do they get another chance? Are they like the higher seed than Kings and Warriors?
They're both, they're 7-8, so the loser gets to play again. So
I think the Pelicans should be able to make the playoffs.
yeah, I think either these teams should make the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if LA lost the next, because I don't know, it gets hard to beat a team like you just beat them,
Right.
But they seem to have their number. But I think the game is in New Orleans, so LA has to go back there. Maybe they just stayed there. I don't know what they did, but probably just stayed since the game's tomorrow. But interesting game. That's another one like in the East. If you're the Lakers, I saw this all day today on sports shows. Should the Lakers, and some of these experts are saying yes, should the Lakers lose to the Pelicans? Because if they win, who are they playing? The Nuggets. If they win the play-in game against New Orleans, they are playing against the Denver Nuggets in the first round. And they cannot beat the Denver Nuggets, or at least they haven't been able to so far.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying, I think the Lakers are better off losing this game and then winning the next one. That way they could play against Oklahoma in the first round, who I think they could beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you're taking the chance
of losing.
Maybe playing against Steph Curry and he goes off on a 10 3-pointers or something.
Or that Kings team.
So you can't play it that way. You have to go out to win. I mean, but if it did end up that way, if they did lose and then won the next game,
that's probably better for them.
It's probably better for them, but you can't play it that way.
Exactly. You can't play to lose. Yeah. Last question here before we move on to performances. I want to know your thoughts. Do you like this whole play-in tournament, or do you think it just should be the 8 and you go in?
I think it gives a little bit of excitement. And like this year in the West, it definitely is a good thing because they're all good teams.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the East, it's not, because Atlanta and Chicago have no business being there.
Right.
So if one of them happened to win and get in, then
that's
then you're losing a good team like either Miami or Philadelphia. So it has its pros and its cons. I like it. Like I said, for the West, you got 4 great teams in the play-in. So, I mean, not great, but really good teams.
Mm-hmm.
All 4 of those teams could go on and win a series or 2.
Mm-hmm.
In the East, Chicago and Atlanta, they're not going to win a series if they happen to get in somehow.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess it's a good thing. I mean, it gives you that excitement of that one and done type deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we have to win this one game and it's not a series. So,
right. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's good.
Yeah, I agree with that statement that you said where it has its pros and cons.
Another thing it does is these teams, like, I think what it does is it makes these lower seeds like the 6 or even the 5 seed, if they're all bunched together, 5, 6, 7, 8, if they're all bunched together, they want to keep winning and try to get at least to the 6th seed so they don't have to do the play-in. So if you look at it that way, it keeps it very competitive right to the end, the regular season.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess it does its trick that way. So I guess it's a good thing.
We're going to move on to performances of the week here on PM Sports Talk for our final session here. And Dad, we have a lot of NBA here, and we have one that takes the cake of best performance of the week. We're going to start off here with the NBA. Peyton Pritchard. I mean, this man dropped his career high against the Hornets with 31 points not too long before this game. He played even better against the Washington Wizards with 38 points and 12 assists with the Celtics roster starters getting benched.
He's always played really well, I thought, because he comes right in, and he's only in there for a little bit, and he usually is pretty good at getting some three-pointers in, and he's like a spark plug out there, and I've always liked Pritchard, and it's good to see him. He's really doing well now, I think, with this year's team.
He is. I was really happy. I saw him play a couple games at Oregon. He was really good.
He's a very smart player.
Next, LeBron James versus the Pelicans last night. 28 points, 11 rebounds, 17 assists. A triple-double for the King.
17 assists. I mean, this guy is unbelievable.
13 of those came in the first half, I'll have you know.
I don't know how he keeps doing it. It's like he's ageless.
I think he's got the best longevity in all of sports ever.
He's by far the best. Well, him and Brady, I guess,
Yeah,
are the best at staying at a high level at a late age.
right.
A lot of guys like Jordan, they'll play till they played close to this age, but they didn't keep up the. Like, he's still, you could say he's still the best player in the NBA right now, and that's not far fetched.
Mhm.
I mean, he's at least top 5 still.
Next up, Jalen Brunson versus Chicago. 40 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Another big game for Brunson. He just keeps on doing it. Hopefully, he carries this over to the playoffs this year.
Right.
And because they're going to need him. They need his scoring. And just another awesome performance by him. I'm looking forward to their first round matchup.
And the next performance comes from the youngest player in the NBA, G.G. Jackson, 19 years old of age, against Denver. 44 points and 12 rebounds, and he had 2 steals with that.
44 points. Wow. Who's he playing for? Utah?
Memphis.
Memphis. Was he a G League player, or was he drafted last year?
I'm not sure, but he kind of came out of nowhere.
I've never heard of him. I mean, I've heard of him this year, but recently, but I never.
He might have been he sounds like a G League kind of.
That's crazy. Is he like a regular player for them?
Yeah, with all their injuries. Yeah.
That's why, yeah.
But I think he has established himself getting a bigger role next year with all their starters back.
I would imagine so, yeah. That's an awesome performance.
The next one, Tyrese Maxey against the Spurs. He had 52 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable scorer. They're going to need every bit of that when they play the Heat on Wednesday. But, yeah, he's great.
And the one who takes the cake as the best performer of this week, Scottie Scheffler with the Masters win.
Yeah, he's got to get it. That's the top player of the week by far. Hats off to him. He's well on his way to becoming a dominant player.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this fun little playoff hype episode of PM Sport Talk. We are excited. Drop your comments down below. Let us know your playoff predictions, who you have winning each of their conference, who do you have winning at all maybe. Just let us know and interact with us. And once again, I'm Preston Ayotte with my father Mike signing off, and we will see you guys in the next episode.